Have you ever wondered why some days you feel like you can just conquer the world, and then other days just getting out of bed feels, well, impossible? We're going to go deep into the science behind your energy, your mood, and why you feel so incredibly drained sometimes. And more importantly, we'll get into what you can actually do about it. This feeling right here, this is exactly where our story kicks off. This Reddit user just perfectly captured that classic rainy day mood, where all your motivation just seems to vanish into thin air. It's a feeling I think we can all recognize, right? But what if it's not really about the weather at all? Because that feeling, it goes way beyond just a gloomy forecast. You know what I'm talking about. It's that sudden wall of exhaustion that hits you mid-afternoon, or that spike of anxiety that seems to come out of absolutely nowhere. It's that sense of being completely overwhelmed when, just yesterday, you felt totally fine. If you've ever been there, you are in the right place. So let's start cracking the code, shall we? We're going to look right under the hood at the biological systems that are pretty much dictating how we feel moment to moment. Okay, so the very first thing to understand is that this feeling of being drained or on edge, it's not a failure of willpower, not at all. It's actually a signal. Your body is running this super sophisticated 24/7 surveillance system, and it's constantly checking for safety or danger and making all these little adjustments without you even noticing. Okay, so let's dive into this, because honestly, understanding this system is the key to everything. We're about to look at the operating system that's running in the background of your entire life. And that operating system, well, it's explained beautifully by something called polyvagal theory. It's basically a framework that shows how our nervous system isn't just on or off. It has these distinct modes or states that completely change how we experience the world around us. Now, this whole complex system can actually be simplified with a traffic light analogy. Think about it. The green light, or the ventral vagal state, that's your optimal mode. You're calm, you're creative, you feel connected. The yellow light is the sympathetic state. That's your classic fight or flight response, mobilizing you for action. And the red light, that's the dorsal vagal state. That's the shutdown, the collapse, that can't do anything but watch YouTube feeling. Sound familiar? So what decides which state you're in? Well, it's a process called neuroception. It's your nervous system's subconscious scanner, and it's constantly picking up cues from your environment, your interactions, even your own body, and then it shifts you between those green, yellow, and red states. So how does this all build up? This next part explains exactly why the shift from feeling totally fine to feeling completely overwhelmed can seem like it happens in the blink of an eye. It all happens because you're basically operating on two different speeds at the same time. You've got a fast somatic loop, that's your body's immediate physical reactions to stress, like a racing heart. But you also have a slow cognitive loop, that's your mind, which takes days or even weeks to build a whole story around those physical feelings. And this is what leads to a massive disconnect. Your body might be stuck in that yellow light state for a while, with stress just building up silently, until, bam, it hits a psychological tipping point. And that's the crash. That's the wave of exhaustion or panic that feels so sudden, but has actually been building under the surface all along. So now that we kind of get the problem, what's the solution? If you're hitting that tipping point, or you just feel chronically tired, what can you actually do? This is where it gets really, really interesting. I mean, we've all been told the same thing our entire lives. If you're tired, just get more sleep. But is it really that simple? The answer, it turns out, is a clear no. See, sleep is just one type of rest. You could be getting a solid 8 hours a night and still feel absolutely exhausted because you have a huge rest deficit in other critical areas of your life. According to researcher Dr. Sandra Dalton-Smith, we actually need 7 types of rest. There's physical rest, and yes, that includes sleep, but also things like stretching. There's mental rest, giving your busy mind a break. Emotional rest, which is having the space to be authentic and real. Sensory rest from our noisy, screen-filled world. Creative rest to experience beauty and wonder. Social rest with people who are actually uplifting. And finally, spiritual rest, connecting to something bigger than yourself. A lack in any one of these can leave you feeling totally drained. So how can you start figuring out what kind of rest you need? I want to leave you with one simple, scientifically backed tool you can use, literally the second this explainer is over. It's called affect labeling. Now, it sounds super complex, but it's just the simple act of putting your feelings into words. Whether you're journaling, talking to a friend, or even just saying to yourself, wow, I am feeling overwhelmed right now, you are actively regulating your emotional state. And here's the amazing part.
When you do this, fMRI scans show that activity in your brain's fear center, the amygdala, actually goes down. At the very same time, activity in your prefrontal cortex, your rational thinking brain, goes up. Just by naming the emotion, you are literally calming your own nervous system down from that red or yellow light state. How cool is that?
So now you have the science. You know about your nervous system states, you know about the two loops that can fall out of sync, and you know about all the different kinds of rest you might be missing. So, the next step is yours. Take a moment, check in with yourself, and just ask, what kind of rest does my body and my mind truly need right now? Thanks for watching.